Hi, Christian here. I wanted to take a moment for those of you who cared or wanted to know what's happening with our family property at 1800 Newton Street that was stolen. First of all, for those of you who don't know exactly how we came to acquire the property at 1800 Newton Street in New Orleans, Louisiana, it started with my dad's promise that he made to my mother to move closer to her mother. So we relocated from Los Angeles, California to New Orleans, Louisiana in 1975. My dad, Dr. Thomas Reginald Craig, was the first indigenous Native American Negro chiropractor in New Orleans. He was also an entrepreneur who purchased the property at 1800 Newton Street in 1981 to use as a community office for his chiropractic care and real estate broker services. When his soul transitioned in 1984, my mother, Lois Vincent Craig, took over the family real estate business to keep my dad's legacy alive while still working as an elementary school teacher. In May of 2000, my mother got a 20-year mortgage loan to pay for much needed repairs on the property at 1800 Newton Street. For 14 consecutive years, my mother paid the mortgage note on the loan without any errors or problems whatsoever. Within 6 years remaining in paying off the mortgage, the servicing of the loan was transferred to Nation Star Mortgage LLC. Immediately, Nation Star began charging extra fees to the note, increasing the monthly loan payments excessively, and within 8 months began returning mortgage loan payments after accepting them but not applying them to the loan. At one point, Nation Star even raised the loan payment $1,000 more a month over the agreed upon monthly amount in the mortgage loan contract. But no matter what, our mother, Lois Vincent Craig, continued paying the mortgage note while trying to work out the escrow accounting errors in the loan with Nation Star. For almost 2 years, Nation Star would accept mortgage payments and then decide which ones they would apply. They did this up until October 2016, when they received and accepted two loan payments within 25 days of each other for over $9,000. And after that, within that same month, an attorney threatened foreclosure on our property for not making monthly loan payments. I have put together a presentation proving my claims against Nation Star's illegal foreclosure on our family property at 1800 Newton Street. I hope that if you or someone you know would be interested in seeing the certified documents that we have gathered in our ongoing investigations, that you would continue watching the remainder of this video or share what we have put together with exhibits and facts showing the deceptive practices of Nation Star that caused our family property to be unlawfully foreclosed on and sold at Orleans Sheriff's Sale without due process. Thank you for your time, prayers, and support. Nation Star violated many federal consumer laws. Thousands of complaints have already been filed with our United States government through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau against Nation Star for mortgage servicing errors and or misconduct. On December 8th in the year 2020, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau won a judgment in the United States District Court against Nation Star for violating federal consumer laws. The complaint filed by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau stated, Nation Star violated multiple federal consumer financial laws, causing substantial harm to the borrowers whose loans it serviced. This and other facts prove that Nation Star routinely used deceptive and abusive practices in the loans they serviced, including the loan for the Lois Vincent Craig estate at 1800 Newton Street that led to an unlawful foreclosure. We, the heirs of the Lois Vincent Craig estate, are still fighting for justice and will never give up until the family property is returned. We are praying for the assistance of competent counsel while seeking full restoration and return of our stolen family property that was unlawfully foreclosed on through the means of false information and deceptive and abusive practices by Nation Star Mortgage, LLC, now doing business as Mr. Cooper. Please help us restore our family property that has served our community for 40 years. Thank you. If you would like to support our legal fund, please send your donations to Mystic Media Foundation through Zelle.
Kennyville and Algiers were the two names that came in the 1830s. Before that, a lot of Africans, how they say, came from Senegal and Gambia came here. Well, this area, according to encaptured people, they had a lot of pirate activity still going here too, where free blacks of color. So a lot of the blacks who were still here, I should say they went to opening up businesses in here, a lot of them were still relating to the Moroccan Empire, the Moorish Empire, and the pirates, the black pirates that came here, right? New Orleans was established with also free men and women of color. Algiers also. The thing about Algiers is that after that 1719, about 150 years later, it was known as Algeria.
The most important and the most that's lost is the Maroons. Blacks that have said that, hey, I ain't bowing down. Yeah, I'd rather die in the bayou than be anybody's property.
According to the native indigenous people were here, this point area, and that area over there, particularly right here across by the cathedral, all this was called the city of the ancients. Greetings, Tepe, I'm Nature Israel, and welcome back to the Nola Narratives by Nola by Nature. Preface to the name origins of New Orleans. We're going to be starting off with the name New Orleans itself. Now, some people are under the assumption that the name New Orleans derived from Philip, Duke of Orleans. That's not correct. Actually, the name New Orleans derives from 3rd century Roman Emperor Aurelian. Aurelian city was built in the late 3rd century in France after it was destroyed by Julius Caesar in 52 BC. 3rd century, late AD, he built the city in honor of himself. The city was called Civitas Aurelianum Novum, which meant the city of Aurelian. Hence, you get the city of Orleans in Old France. From Old France, we get, in America, we get New Orleans. So New Orleans is named after 3rd century Roman Emperor Aurelian and not Philip, Duke of Orleans. This is the Nola by Nature narrative. NBN, I'm Nature Israel. Yeah. A lot of people may have heard about Bancha or may not have heard about Bancha, but according to modern information that's online, people are under the erroneous assumption that New Orleans is named after Balbanch by Choctaw, Chittimaw, or local Indian tribes. But upon further investigation, through a great map maker and archaeologist in 1811 by the name of Thomas Lafon, was a map maker and archaeologist for Louisiana and especially New Orleans. In this area, he found out that there was mounds in Catahoula, Louisiana. They said that below the point of the city, which they call New Orleans, there was an ancient hidden city that was called Balbancha. They have determined that New Orleans is not named Balbancha or not named after Balbancha. Balbancha is a city that lays south of New Orleans, near Pont La Hache, or some even say closer to St. Bernard Parish. A local archaeologist and researcher who's been investigating Chandelier Lake for the past 30 years have found granite structures and stones underwater, and through his investigation, he determined that it's an ancient pyramid structure that stands over 280 feet in Chandelier Lake, or Chandelier Islands, meaning there was once land there, since it's called Chandelier Islands. So we're saying, and he's saying, that the city that's under the water there is actually maybe over 12,000 years old. And that's what I'm calling Belbancha, and that's what we're calling Belbancha. This area was also called the City of the Ancients. And with it being called the City of the Ancients, that and Belbancha, there's no other local indigenous terms for this city or for this area outside of those two terms, the City of the Ancients and Belbancha. This is a Nola narrative by NBN, Nola by Nature. I'm Nature Israel, and we out.
So yeah, man, I was just thinking yesterday or whatnot, man, like, what's up with the Fleur De Lis? You know what I'm saying? I see it everywhere in New Orleans. What y'all think about the Fleur De Lis when you see it?
You mean like the Saints Fleur De Lis?
Yeah, Saints Fleur De Lis.
On the helmet Fleur De Lis?
On the helmet,
But it's not.
wrought iron.
It's not. The Saints don't represent the Fleur De Lis. The Fleur De Lis represents the Saints. You got to flip that around, but
I like
not
that.
in a good way though.
So what is the Fleur De Lis? Why did they pick the Fleur De Lis? You
The
think?
Fleur De Lis is French.
It is
Flower of the lily. Fleur De Lis.
Fleur De Lis.
Flower of the lily.
Correct.
Flower of the lily?
Yes.
Okay.
At least that's how it was broken down for me. But see, what had happened was
She right. It's flower.
I heard some slave people like to
lily.
burn people with that Fleur De Lis.
yes. So the branding of us with the Fleur De Lis was to show that you belonged, you were owned by.
French?
Yes, it's French.
Like
And one of the
owned by-
French,
by
like
the
a
French people?
slave master. Yes. So if you ran away, they made sure they branded you with that Fleur De Lis. A lot of people who say they don't care for sports look at the Fleur De Lis and the way that they do sports, like football. You know, they put you up on this platform and show how much you weigh and how strong and fast, and you know, that's the exact same thing they used to do for slavery. Put you up on an auction block, show how big and strong and fast and smart and this and that.
Like the NFL draft.
Like the NFL draft. So,
For real.
Real? How ironic is that?
how ironic is that? But within all of that, why did New Orleans choose to keep that brand? That I cannot say.
And then put it everywhere.
And put it everywhere
It's
to
everywhere.
represent Louisiana.
First thing come to your mind when you think about the Fleur De Lis?
Slavery and prostitution.
That's it?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I'm not from New Orleans, so when I first moved here, I would see the sign everywhere, and I would ask people what it meant, and they was just like, "It's just a sign for New Orleans." So it made me research it, and when I researched it, I found out that slave owners, or owners of enslaved people, would brand their slaves with the Fleur De Lis, so that they would know, like, if they escaped, where they came from. And then later on, in the prostitution and men working over women back in the day would brand the women from New Orleans with this Fleur De Lis as a symbol of where they were from. So now when I see people with tattoos of Fleur De Lis, it just really kind of bothers me, because they never really took the time to research what it was.
What do you think about the Fleur De Lis?
Yeah, the logo, the French, the symbol that the quote unquote monarchs used. It was on a few flags. Of course, people know that it was, I've heard stories of it being branded on people, but essentially it's the logo or the leftover sigil or sign of the people here, the people that came here and caused so much damage. So those same Fleur De Lis that are a sign of proud heritage now, or French white privilege, that's going to come back to haunt them because as reparations come into fore and revenge, identifying yourself as with that sign, it's not going to be a good idea karmic wise. But yeah, it's basically the logo of the French, so-called heritage, which is that of rape, pillage, plunder, a beautiful land. This was a beautiful land before the French got here.
Greetings to each and every one. I'm Nature Israel. Welcome back to Nola by Nature, Nola Narrative. And today we're going to be discussing that good old Fleur De Lis, the flower with the elite lily. Now, a lot of you saw it in New Orleans, where we at, Nola by Nature, and you probably saw it all around the world also. But we're going to be discussing and getting to a little more in-depthness on the Fleur De Lis. So y'all hang around, stay tuned, and check it out. I'm Nature Israel. This is Nola by Nature, Nola Narrative, and we about to work. The Fleur De Lis. It's a flower that's named initially, we get it from the French monarchs. Fleur De Lis, a French word. So initially we know it from being French. And it was first used in France in the 12th century on the shields. And it's rooted in French history. And the first colors of that shield it was using was red and white and blue and gold. And there are specific reasons for that. Also following that, the English started using it on their coat of arms following the French. So it became like a European monarch or nobility thing. Now, the Fleur De Lis, as most people know, is a water lily. And it's called the Iris pseudodecorus. The Fleur De Lis is the most depicted symbol on planet Earth. Once again, along with the sun, stars, and pyramids, the Fleur De Lis is the most depicted symbol on planet Earth. Now, we all know that Fleur De Lis is a French word. In New Orleans, we have this saying where some people like the Fleur De Lis, some people don't like the Fleur De Lis. Some people say, oh, it represents slavery and slaves were branded with it. It's no good and we shouldn't use it. And, they have their opinions about it. Others, on the other hand, look at it for its historical significance, especially if you're of another persuasion. It definitely has a significance to monarch and control. Now, the Fleur De Lis being one of the most depicted and wide used symbols in America, in Africa even, in Europe, even in Asia. The Fleur De Lis is being depicted. For example, you can see the Fleur De Lis in all forms of culture, secular and spiritual. For example, the Fleur De Lis is used widely in Gothic and Satanic use. You see the Fleur De Lis depicted. Catholic religions, you see the Fleur De Lis depicted. In military and police, you see the use of the Fleur De Lis. Also, in sports organizations, like our teams down here, you also see the Fleur De Lis in use. Now, even in industries and product, you see the use of the Fleur De Lis. Widespread, unlike any other symbol. Now here's the thing about the Fleur De Lis. It has no known copyright. It can be used by anyone or group for profit. So no one can copyright it, but you can use it in your copyright. That's amazing. That's the only symbol that has no known copyright, but can be used by anyone or group for profit. That's the Fleur De Lis.
Commemoration or the symbolism of just the genesis of the Fleur De Lis and the power of the brand, literally brand, where brands come from, and brand name and brand recognition, was really paying homage to that and to remind me from an ancient memory standpoint what that really was about. So the drapetomania has morphed into Stockholm syndrome at this point. And so when I see the symbol as someone who understands that symbolism was long before there was any kind of language that was written or texting or that kind of a thing. I don't mean texting like we do now, but I mean things that were captured in text. There were the symbols that informed and communicated, and there was some universality and understanding of what those meanings were. So I am forever aware that the site of that symbolism and the deliberate placement of it is no accident, and it is there to communicate something very particular. And whether or not what I'm saying is known or accepted or understood by any of the masses, it has an ingrained vibration.
Now I'm about to get into the true origins of this ancient symbol. As I've shown, it's been around in use in our society in various ways for a long time. But in regards to these ancient cultures and what you're seeing behind me, you're seeing in the photos, is that this image, this sign and symbol goes back to over 4,000 years. If you're a person who believes that Mesopotamia was the first civilization, well, you find the Fleur De Lis in their kings and their gods depicted. The Fleur De Lis is there, for example, like with the god Dagon, who was one of the founders of Sumeria, Mesopotamian civilization, agriculture, crops, and taught them all these different things. As you see, just like the Saints football helmet, at the top of Dagon helmet is the symbol of the Fleur De Lis. And once again, some people subscribe that Mesopotamian Sumeria is the first civilization. So if that is so, you see the first civilization, the king of their god, with a Fleur De Lis on his helmet, coming out of water, fish, just, as a fish person. And I say that fish thing because it shows this relation to the Pope, and how the Pope know wear that crown that people say shaped like a fish mouth. And that Fleur De Lis is heavily used by the Vatican, the Church, and the Catholic, as I show. So we ain't gonna go too deep in that, but the ancient origins does trace back to ancient Kemet, ancient India, ancient Asia, ancient America, all these grand cultures on Earth. Now, why? To end this, we're gonna go into a scientific possible reason why all these ancient cultures on planet Earth used the Fleur De Lis over 4,000 years ago, prior to Christ, prior to the formation of the Catholic Church, prior to the formation of the Roman empires and the monarchs, before the creation of America, even New Orleans. I'm talking about the Taurus field. Now, do your signs, go look that up, see the Taurus field, check out the images behind me, and we're going to be coming back with some more information showing how the Fleur De Lis even connects to the early electromagnetic pull and protection of the Earth. It's a giant Fleur De Lis. Gonna stop it right there. And I'm Nature Israel. This is Nola by Nature, Nola Narrative. Hope y'all enjoy. Check it out. We got a lot more content coming. And we out. This is the Fleur De Lis. Peace.
So, what do you think about the Fleur De Lis?
Honestly, there's a lot that I think about. A lot of things that I think about when I think about the Fleur De Lis. Can't really say just one.
Just give me one.
I'll give you two. The Saints in New Orleans.
True. So what type of emotion do you feel when you see the Fleur De Lis?
That really depends. That's a really good question. Because it depends on where I see it or how I see it. Football games, merchandise, furniture or displays. All around the city you see the Fleur De Lis. But when I see it on a human, say me or you, it just gives me that sense of when the French branded our blue. With the lotus flowers.
Lotus flowers.
But when I look at it before that, living away after the hurricane, like imagine somebody like you who lived away for a long time. I know people just from being away for a year or two or however many years. You're away from home. I was away from home 1 year. The Fleur De Lis was a sense of pride of home. We see that everywhere. They have some people who get the tattoos of it. It make me feel like, okay, from New Orleans, it kind of makes me feel like it's family.
Do it as a remembrance.
So yeah, I might have had a Fleur De Lis on my car. I'm trying to think about back in the day. Just represent. I know I had New Orleans across the windshield. But yeah, I think New Orleans people are pretty proud. So we use that as a symbol of being proud. And if we can say it for the Saints, right? I mean, we know racism is abundant around the world in America and New Orleans, Louisiana. And one thing about it, I guess the Fleur De Lis, even amongst people who might have differences in race, when it comes to the Fleur De Lis, it comes to the Saints, and I see people come together under one accord with that too. So it's just different levels of it. But for me, I'm not like big on sports, so I'm not gonna say that, but I do understand that symbol with the Saints does bring people together, so we can look at it in a positive light and we use that as we have this to where we can work from this part. Maybe the Fleur De Lis bring us together more than our skin color sometimes. Now let's find somewhere where we can work with that. There's certain ways that we can look at things and say, well, that symbol means this. I don't want to associate with it. Just as we could say, some people might say with black, or some people might say with the diamond or the pyramid or the eye of Horus. They're always going to have some type of symbols that's going to be pushed back. Like, so they have a history deeper than what just that one stop we might have. Right? Where did it come from? What's the root of it? Now, just because they put a branding on enslaved people who chose to run away, and do we automatically just think that, oh, that's do away with the symbol? The symbol was there before that. The symbol is in the hieroglyphics. So now we can't just say that and take the negative connotation of it and think that that's what we're gonna write it off to. We're gonna rename it. Everybody gonna have different ways they look at stuff and they, what it means to them. And for me personally, I'm just saying it reminds me of home and the history that I got about it from Egypt and our Kemet, ancient Kemet. Then that makes me feel like my feeling of not having a bad connotation for the Fleur De Lis was kind of more authentic, just more ingrained or whatever.
All right, that's beautiful. So you think there's a possibility of redemption for the Fleur De Lis after one may hear about the ancient historical content of it as being an ancient symbol and being revered in the ancient past. So it could be, I don't want to be biased or even be sounding like I'm having an opinion in the matter, because it's not about me, it's about y'all. But just knowing that it has ancient history long before the branding, and if maybe one could understand the historical component of that versus having a direct component to it now, as what C. Freedom said about having a unity, having a oneness of bringing people together, there's some possibilities of it kind of being rebranded.
That's what I was about to wait for you to say. I was about to say it definitely, the branding part, it definitely could be rebranded. And I think Nola by Nature is the perfect rebranding for the Fleur De Lis.
Well, on that note, thank you so much. Peace and blessings.
Nurturing the culture, representing Nola, we gon' show you what we brought you, we show you what we offer. Made for the natives, we show the world that we awesome. Show your true Nola through yourself, cause you glossing. Nola by nature, tell you that we love you, we ain't saying that we hate you. We also great creations, Nola by nature. Man, we got gumbo and crawfish and flavor, the best, no debater. Nola by nature, you can wear our clothes to go show the whole world just exactly what you saying. It's Nola by nature, it's all in our nature. Let's go and spread the love, cause together we the greatest. No love by nature. No love by nature. Nola by nature. It's Nola by nature. Nurturing the culture, representing Nola. We gon' show you what we brought you. We show you what we offer. Made for the natives, we show the world that we awesome. Show your true Nola through yourself, cause you glossing. Nola by